right? Do you guys like really get that? By the way, our office right now has 1.3 million in rollovers that are going to pay out next month, and our office is going to pay out $75,000 just in a couple of hours of rollovers. Do you guys get that? Do you guys see the difference?
Yes.
So I had all these different influences, and I was like, you know what? Like, I'm so confused, but I guess I should go to school, get a degree, do what everybody else tells me to do. And I remember, I'm going to tell you guys what I was doing. I was going to school full-time, and I lived in the dorms, which was expensive, and I was in a sorority, which was even more expensive. It was like $3,200 what is it, like a semester? And then my tuition, and then my dorm. So I was in debt, right? I was putting everything on credit cards, I was pulling out student loans. So I was on top of that, on top of my hours that I was putting into my sorority, on top of my full-time school, on top of my studies, what I was doing is I was working at Levi's, I was working at US Polo, and I was working at Buffalo Wild Wings, right? How did I do it? Who knows? I remember coming back to my dorm at 2, 3 in the morning, putting in 1 or 2 hours of study, going to sleep for about an hour, and then getting back at it, right? Waking up early to finish up whatever I didn't finish for school and go straight into my class. And I remember every Friday I didn't have class or work, so Thursday I would go back home to my family. As soon as I would grab a seat at a chair or at a couch, I will never forget. I remember I would just fall asleep. Like, I would just fall asleep. Do you guys, like, that's how tired I was. Every single Thursday, as soon as I got to my mom's house and I grabbed the seat, I would just fall asleep, knock out, and my mom would wake me up, and I'd be like, why didn't you wake me up? She's like, I know you're so tired. I know you're working hard. What I'm trying to tell you guys is that a lot of you guys already work hard. Would you agree?
Yeah.
How many of you guys can relate to that story? Going to school, having a couple of jobs, doing whatever it is that you're currently doing, right?
Yes.
By the way, 3 jobs and school full-time, that's a handful. That was like 24 hours, 24/7 right there, right? So when I came into WFG, and I want you guys to write this down as a bullet point, hard work, right? I had no problem with hard work. I really had no problem because I was already doing it. Do you guys get that?
Yes.
So now when I leave the office at 3 a.m., it's not a big deal for me to go home, take a couple of hours of nap, and get back at it because I was already doing that aside from WFG. The only difference is I'm going to be done one day, right? But what happened was, doing all of that, I actually got a call from one of my, this girl, I hadn't seen her in 4 years. And when we were in high school, I remember that when I first met her, I was a freshman. And she was a junior, and we were in the same math class. And I was kind of like teacher's pet, because I hated homework. Like, I'm smart, don't get me wrong, but I just hate like homework and reading and all that kind of stuff. So I was like, you know what, I better like, kiss up to this teacher. So I was teacher's pet. I was the one that would like correct, like go around checking that everybody did their homework and stuff. So then everybody wanted to be my friend, right? Because I was the one that would check the homework. So then this girl, I remember during the tests, she would actually copy off of me. Like, I would be sitting over here and she would copy off of my homework or my test. And then the person that was sitting on this side, as we were walking out, they were like, thank you for the answers, like, you're awesome. And I was like, what? Like, how did they go all around the room? And it was this girl, her name was Martha, right? Like, she was the one that was like giving the answers to everybody. And so that was the first time that I met her, but when I heard from her, it was actually my freshman year in college. My freshman year in college, I got a message on Facebook, right? Everybody have social media here?
Yeah.
Yes.
Right, so reach out to everybody on social media. It works. She sent me a message and said, hey, who do you know that's looking for work? And I was like, not me, right? I just got a new job at Buffalo Wild Wings. At least I'll get tips there. I have another 2 jobs. I'm going to school full time. I'm really not, like, I'm not looking for anything, right? I was like, I don't know anybody. She's like, okay, what about yourself? And I'm like, no, like, I'm really not keeping my options open. And she's like, okay. And then 2 months later, right, 2 months passed by, and by then, I was, like, tired. I was exhausted. And then I remember, like, my Buffalo Wild Wings position, I was a host, which a host, it's like you're supposed to be at a podium and seating people and things like that. Then they had me cleaning the restrooms, and I'm like, what am I doing cleaning, like, restrooms? You know what I mean? Like, it just did not make sense. So then she messages me again 2 months later, and she says, hey, we're still looking for some people. Matter of fact, now we just opened up a new office in Milpitas. Who do you know? And I was like, you know what? Me. I didn't even think about asking the first time what they did, but I asked her, what is it that you guys do? She said, we work with financial services. We work with helping families, planning for the future, you know, money management. I was like, okay, that kind of sounds interesting. That's kind of what I'm going to school for. So that was February 6th when we were, you know, going back and forth on messages. February 8th, 2013, I went into her office. And when I saw her, I was blown away, right? She just looked different. And so another bullet point that I want you guys to write down is personal development, right? She looked so different. She was a completely different person. And so when I went in there, she's the one that did my interview, and I got sold the dream. Because again, this was the girl that used to copy my homework in school, and now she's the girl that she had her own office. She looked like a professional businesswoman, and I wanted that, right? I really did. I was like, if she can do it, I can do it. So this was February 8th that we came, I came into the company. I got coded that day. February 9th, I came back for my orientation. And do you guys remember Erin talking about how I met her and then she was chasing down the twins? That's when I met her, and that's the day that I met John. But what I want you guys to know is that when I first came into this company, I didn't know this was going to happen. I wanted this to happen. I didn't know when it would happen or how it would happen, right? And there was a lot of things that I had to go through in order to get this. I want you guys to know that. But I remember when I came in, I was like, you know what? If I could just make 50,000, that's why I love when Paul says that, you know, if I could just make 50,000, I'd be okay. You know, and then, oh, well, if I can just make 6 figures, I'd be okay. By the way, in the Bay Area, I tell my full-timers all the time, my expenses were $6,500 in the Bay Area, right? If I didn't make $10,000 a month, like, my mom wasn't eating, my son wasn't eating, like, nobody was eating. Did you guys get that?
Yes.
So I had to work hard, right? But what ended up happening is, as time goes by, your vision stretches, right? And where was I going with that again? Self-development. Yeah, so I had to grow a lot, right? I had to go through a lot of things. I mentioned when I first came in, I just wanted to make $50,000. Oh my goodness. Okay, so listen to this. Look at how crazy this is. When I first came in, all we really wanted, or all I really wanted, was to make $50,000, replace my 3 jobs income, and my first 6 months licensed, I made $49,000, and I was like, this is it. I dropped out of school, I quit all my jobs. In that October, I met Gabe, and then after that, you know, I was training Gabe, and actually, like, yeah, I was training him. It was like, he was like, hey, you know, let's go to dinner. I'm like, no, you know, I'm so focused on my work. And then he's like, I have a training appointment. I'm like, I'm there. Business? Like, yeah, I'm there. Work? I'm there. And then that's how it all kind of started to happen. But what I mean by this is a company of faith is that I met Gabe in WFG, right? I remember before I came into WFG, I wanted to go to college. I thought that's what I thought that's what I wanted. And I remember I didn't get into my dream school, which is San Diego, and I was devastated. I was crying. I was telling my mom, like, man, this is the end of the earth, like the end of the world. Have you guys ever felt like that? Like one thing goes wrong, maybe not now because your guys' mindset has changed because of WFG, but before that, one little thing goes wrong, and I thought it was the end of the world, right? I was like, man, this is a sign, like, oh, everything's getting so tough. It was just like bad, but I realized that maybe that happened for a reason, right? Maybe I was meant to meet Gabe. Honestly, we would not be here in Arizona if it wasn't for him. The reason that we came out here when we did was because we came to visit one of his aunts, right? And so I think about it, I'm like, how crazy is that it really is a company of faith? Do you guys get that?
Yes.
Like, you guys, the reason that every single person is in this room was because of that day, right? That day wouldn't have happened if I wouldn't have met Gabe. How crazy is that? Gabe mentioned how the day he was going to the office, he wanted to turn around, and something just told him he had to be there, right? Same thing with when we came out here. Something just told me that I had to be here. I didn't know anybody. I went home, and I remember telling my mom, I'm like, yeah, I just like felt something, and I kind of just want to go out there. And I am so thankful that we have such awesome support system, because I remember I was second guessing it. And my mom told me, she's like, you know what? If you don't do it, you'll always wonder what if, right? What it would have been. And the reason that I want to tell you guys this is because, like I said, at big events, you're supposed to be making big decisions, right? And a lot of you guys, to be honest, if you look to your right and you look to your left, maybe 70% of you guys, honestly, might not be here within the next couple of months. You want to know why? Because things happen. Life happens. Would you guys agree that life happens?
Yes.
Yes. And what happens to us when life happens?
Work.
What was that? You have to work, okay. Yeah. You get discouraged, right? How many people get discouraged when life happens?
A lot.
A lot, right? And so a lot of you guys might not be here because life's gonna happen, right? Man, I don't know why I'm all over the place today. I think I'm just so overwhelmed with how awesome our event has been. Where was I going?
Woo!
Okay. So if you guys don't make a decision, you guys will end up wondering what it would have been, right? I think about it now, and I think about all the amazing people that we've met in the last couple of months, and I'm thinking, what if we wouldn't have came out here? Right? By the way, a lot of you guys don't know this, but our son is actually living in California while Gabe and I are building a business here. Do you guys get that?
Yes.
Like, when I think about that, I think how many people do you think would actually take a step like that? Not a lot, right? How many people would say, you know what, let's put our whole life on hold so we can go build a business? Do you guys want to know why I do it? So that one day I don't have to anymore. Right? And I talk about this all the time to you guys at our BPM, and maybe that's why right now you guys are like falling asleep and it's going over your head. Maybe that's why I'm not focused, because you guys are like, oh, okay, cool, it's just Arlene. But honestly, like that's how I feel, right? That's how I feel where I think about it. If I don't do this business, let's just say I don't do this business and I go get a real job. You know that I'm probably gonna have 2 jobs for the rest of my life just to be able to feed my son. Do you guys get that?
Yes.
Right? That's what our parents did, just to feed us, right? And I think about that, I'm like, my parents didn't